The Kev Baker Show.
Hi, Kev.
Okay, we are back. We are live, and we're moving into hour number 2 right here on the Kev Baker Show. And of course, we are now running for 2 hours. So if you've just turned up, you are now late. We start an hour earlier, folks, but it's a bonus because you get an hour extra with myself, Johnny Whistles, and tonight's very special guest indeed. Very excited about this because this just came out of nowhere. David Sereda was our scheduled guest for tonight. Unfortunately, David couldn't make it. He'll be back in the near future. But what he did do was he mentioned his friend, Valeria Tignini. Now, I went out. I had to go to the gym. I came back. I was furiously trying to think of things for the show, looked at my email, and Valerie had got in touch with me. So I'm just going to read out a little bit of her bio here, and then we'll get right into it with Valeria Tignini. And it says here, her pre-awakening, a descendant of the royal Italian family, the Medicis, the Medicis, a first-generational Italian. She was born in Brooklyn, New York. She moved to New Jersey when she was 10 years old, and once she graduated high school, she moved to New York City and is now currently residing in the Hudson Valley of New York. Before going on to run her company full-time, Val worked as an informational architect, model, and actress for many kinds of companies. Now we move on to the post-awakening, and it says here that Val had a moment of multi-dimensional experiences growing up with ETs, a sense of energy and higher awareness. However, made no big deal of it and went on with her 3D life. Then, at 30 years old, Val had a spontaneous Kundalini Awakening, aka the Holy Spirit, running through her in 2010 by attending an Abdi Electricité session. And ever since that day, her life has been magical. Now, she's going to share some of her stories here tonight, but just a taste of what we're getting from her website here over at valsecrets.com. And I said this in the first part, but it says, we are in a time of consciousness redefining itself to vibrate higher to what I call the truth era. We are all on a journey to evolve into becoming wiser, harmonious, abundant, and healthier beings by connecting to the light within. When we align to our soul, we have the gift to intend a magical, filled life. So without further ado, Valeria, welcome to the show. It's an absolute pleasure to have you here with us.
Thank you so much, Kev. I'm honored, and I'm very grateful to David. He's been a bit of an angel in my life these past few weeks.
Well, he really has. And like I say, I mean, even when we were sharing emails today, the more we were kind of bouncing emails back and forth, I looked for signs from the universe, and I was saying before you came on, before the break, that it's almost like the universe has put this show here for a reason. And I'm dying to get into all the stuff like ETs, stuff like that with you. But before we go anywhere, Valeria, just give the audience a little taste of who you are and how you got to here today.
Sure. Well, who am I? That's a very lofty question, but how I got here today is I essentially had a Kundalini Awakening when I was 30. And after that day, in a matter of 2 hours, I was a completely different person. I had basically every chakra light up, and I had a profound experience in every chakra, which reached the crown. And then when it light reached the crown, I could not sense self anymore. There was no more I. And through that experience, it was almost like I didn't want to come back. But when I did come back, my awareness, my perception, my vibration was completely changed, and everything that I experienced was not foreign to me. It was something that I knew and I longed for, but I didn't know that it even existed, because before I even experienced that, I was just almost atheist at the point, because I started to lose faith in God as my journey in finding God was very tumultuous. And I was always looking for answers, and I was going through all the religions to find, but I wasn't finding the truth. And so my search for the truth was lost, and I felt lost. And that's why I ended up going to see Abdi Electricity, because my life was very much wonderful, and I had everything that a girl could want, and everything that I ever wanted would manifest very easily. But then I still didn't feel complete. I still feel that joy, that bliss, that feeling of just saying, okay, I'm happy. And so I went to go see this person, and then from that day on, I understood that my happiness does not come through the outside world. It comes through discovering myself. And so my connection to my higher self was so strong that I was a very, very much of a party girl in New York City. I was connected to all the people that you wanted to be connected to. And from that moment on, I dropped it all. The company that I was very successful. I had a TV show that was it was on its second episode on a very popular cable in the US. And after my Kundalini Awakening, I received a call from the producer, and they told me that the show was canceled, and they had no idea why, really. And I just kind of laughed. I just knew that my life was on a different track, a different path, and God had, the universe, call it, had put me on a different path. And that was part of that path, that I wasn't meant to do this 3D work anymore. I was meant to be more multidimensional and connected to energy.
And this is happening to a lot of people around the planet right now, right? Because we were speaking last night about the fact that we're moving into crazy times, and we were talking about we're going to develop supernatural powers. And, you know, it's quite hard to imagine that. But then just watching a couple of your videos today, Valeria, and you're talking about the superhumans that are on the planet right now. And some of the, I mean, can you talk to some of these powers that people are developing right now?
Oh, absolutely. Yes, we are definitely becoming superhuman. It's all within us. It's just that we have not had the consciousness nor the education to be aware of human powers. So when you're constantly being taught that you are just a human, that you know, these are typical sayings. I'm only human. That God is above you. But you know, you are within, and you know, Jesus. You too will have gifts and more. These kinds of powers, people are for as long as
Valeria,
human kind exists. Yeah.
Valeria, what we're going to do is, right, because for some reason the Skype gremlins are playing up. So if you drop me your number in the Skype chat box, I'll phone your phone and we'll get a perfect connection, because I'm so eager for people to hear this information. I don't want any of it to be lost. Yeah. So if you drop that in, I'll phone you right back, okay? But Johnny, yes, that connection there, I'm really keen to hear this, because Valeria, I think, has got a very important story to tell. And I think there's so many other people, John, right now who may be resonating with this kind of stuff.
Well, the thing is, Kev, we spoke about this now for, the past few months, about how people are actually coming together. Whether there's enough people to make a change, I'm not sure, but it's a great start, Kev. And the thing is, it's great to be actually part of that start.
It really is now. Johnny, I'm just trying to connect with Valeria here, but I can't wait till we get into the ET stuff as well, because this is going to be where the woo really goes up a notch. Don't you agree?
Oh, yeah. I mean, some of the subjects, Kev, I mean, fantastic. When I looked at Valeria's site, I was really impressed with some of the info that's on there. I mean, she's been through some amount. That's the thing about it, Kev. So it's really a big up to her to come on here and tell people just exactly what, the effect it's having on her. She must have been quite young, Kev, when all of this changed. So that in itself, for that to be happening at maybe a young age, and then taking it all on your stride and actually becoming the person that you always wanted to be. I mean, what an amazing story.
It really is. And I'm trying to add Valeria to the group call right now. Oh, why does this always go wrong when you're trying to do something like this?
Tell me about it, Kev. It's the usual Skype gremlins, Kev. They do it all the time.
All the time, Johnny. All the time. So, folks, I'm trying to get this sorted right now. Let's see if we can get a phone number dialed in here. Maybe. I don't know, Johnny. I'm trying furiously here.
Well, that's the thing about it, Kev. It just seems to always happen. I mean, it's, I guess, that with the kind of information, Kev, that we are crying out for.
Can you still hear me, John?
Yes, I can, Kev.
Hey, Valeria. Can we hear Valeria as well, John?
No, I can't hear anything yet, Kev.
You can. I can hear you, Valeria, but there's something really strange going on with Skype here, because I've got you on one line and it's not added you into the studio call. So give me 2 seconds, Valeria, and I'll try again, okay? Live radio, folks, live radio. We will try. This is, we will call the mobile. We'll try the mobile. Try that. We'll see if this works. Don't you just love this stuff?
There is.
Valeria.
All right.
There we go. You see, the joys of modern technology. Now, we were talking about superpowers. Talk to us about that, because we kind of missed some of that information.
Sure, superpowers. So humans are becoming superhuman. We are awakening to our higher selves. We are becoming basically mini gods. And the beauty of this is that we don't know it yet. We don't know. Some of us don't know that we are capable of having these superpowers. And it's only because we have been taught that we are just human. We're only human. We are only, we should bow down to God, but God is within us. Even Jesus himself has said that you too will have the gifts that I have and more. And so we have to trust that what we have within us is beautiful, is magic, is expansive and unlimited, limitless. And it's a beautiful knowing once you touch that within yourself. And that's the truth that I was exploring and looking for. I never found that within the religions that I would explore, like Christianity, Catholicism, Buddhism, Islam, or any other kind. Judaism. I also went into Judaism. So I studied them all, and none of them really touch on that. It's a shame that religions have such a strong hold of society these days, but I know that many of us are now looking for the truth, and hence your radio show.
No, absolutely. And that truth, it can be really uncomfortable for people who have had such staunch religious upbringings. And there's such a big difference between religion and spirituality and being in touch with God. And, you know, this is just amazing speaking to you. We've only got the 1 hour and we're going to be all over the place here. But I'm sure we're going to have you back soon as well, Valeria. But myself and Johnny and all the audience out there, I mean, we talk about ETs, space a lot of the time. Now, how do they factor into all of this? And how do they come into your story as well?
So that's a very good question. After I had my Kundalini, a few months later, I went to a conference where Colin Andrews was speaking. Are you familiar with him?
I've not heard his name.
I don't think so.
No, I've not heard his name. No.
Okay, I believe he's English, and he coined the term crop circles. Are you familiar with that term?
Yeah, the crop circles.
Okay. So yeah, the crop circles are basically where ETs create. They create like mandalas, sacred mandalas, and signs to speak to humanity onto crops. And they're very large, and if you actually go there, they're very activated. So this man was giving a wonderful preview on all of his discoveries on crop circles. So at some point throughout this crop circle speech, I felt a blowing in my ear. Now, it's not a regular blowing in the ear. It was like something like this. So I'm very familiar with this blowing in the ear because when I was a teenager, I felt the same blowing in the ear, and my sister had felt it the night before. And so we discussed this, and we just thought it was a ghost. Now, of course, in our family, it's like, oh, it's a ghost, no big deal. Like, some people would be totally spooked, but we weren't. We just thought it was something normal to be in touch with ghosts and ETs and all this stuff. So this blowing in the ear was a confirmation for me to tell me that we have been with you since you were a teenager. Now, of course, I had a aha moment, and I was so emotional. I was just like, wow, this is amazing. This is so connected for me. And that my awakening through Kundalini was just to kind of remember my true self. But I've always been connected to them and this energy, and they've always been connected to me. And so that was a beautiful confirmation. And so then that night when I went home, I just felt something very different in the field. I call it the field. It's basically the environment that is around me. And so I felt this presence, this energy, which was very familiar to me, especially when I had that blowing in the ear. And so all of a sudden, I have like a bathroom that's within my bedroom. So the light, there was a bright, luminous light in my bathroom, and I could see the light shining. And I was so familiar with this light because when I was younger, when I was around 10, I had seen a UFO that was had the same luminous light. And I just knew immediately, and I said to them telepathically, I'm not scared, and I'm ready. I'm open to you. Please come to me and show me what you want to do. And from that moment, I laid in my bed, and I waited patiently, but it was like seconds later, they were in my bedroom. Two tall beings, about 7 feet tall, with grayish, whitish skin, and their eyes were like gray blue. They had blondish hair, blondish white hair, and and their faces were very strong, like strong features, high cheekbones, very strong jawline.
Were these the ones that kind of get classified as the Nordics?
No, they were actually Syrian.
Wow. But you know, this is really amazing because, Johnny, we've had guests in the past talked about their own personal experiences, and here's Valeria again, and it's this light. This light is common. This seems to be the common thread between all these experiences. And again, Valeria, your story is so similar to other people. Later in life, they realize there's something going on, and when they think back, they've had experiences in their own childhood, and it's almost as if they were born into this. I mean, do you think you were kind of almost special, like they call people Indigo Children, Star Child, stuff like that? But do you think you're here for a purpose, that kind of thing?
Yes. So I will explain that they have given me many downloads while they were with me. I actually went with them. They took me up to their star planet, which is Sirius. And when I can feel so much energy right now just talking about them, and my heart chakra is about to explode just talking about them. I could be in tears right now because it's one of the best experiences that I've had. And so I get very emotional talking about it.
This is almost the way it was when we emailed today as well, and we'd never, ever... No, I'd never...
I feel very emotional.
I know. I'd never seen your website or anything like that, and I'm thinking, you know, I don't know why, but this is going to be amazing. And then you even confirmed that in the emails yourself, so I totally get where you're coming from here. And that's why I'm really glad we've got you on the phone now, and we can get your message out loud and clear. And, you know, with so many people like you here at this time, I mean, what changes are we here? Are we going to see? What changes are going to manifest?
Yes. So we're going to see the planet. The planet itself is ascending. So it is, right now we are in fifth dimensional reality. And so that means that it is basically supporting us to become higher beings, higher vibrational beings. And so our consciousness needs to reach that level of vibration through activation, through meditation, through wisdom, truth, and connection to soul family. Even that in itself helps you vibrate higher. And so, going back to the connection of human beings connected to ETs, is that we have a soul contract with these beings. We came in to this planet, but we ourselves are ETs. So going back to my bloodline, what some people call blue blood, which is also called royalty, is really connected to your connection to ETs. Are you there?
No, I'm listening to you because that ties in with this whole rhesus blood as well, and they say that comes out of Europe. They don't know where it came from. And similarly, the blue bloods, we know all about that over here in Europe. And Johnny, he loves the Medicis on the telly. He likes watching that. He watches that show. But yeah, this blood is different. It's absolutely, and dare I say it, alien. And I've always believed that we were put here by someone, something else.
Yes. And so this is why royalty wear crowns, because their crown chakra is a symbol of them being enlightened beings. So we all wear. That's why everybody wants to become a princess or a prince or a king or a queen, because that in itself means that you are an enlightened being. But what happened was, through the years, is that their ego got in the way of them being an enlightened being. And so it took over. And so the royalty really kind of just died out because they lost their superpowers.
Wow.
Well, I think that's what happened here in Britain, Valeria, because our queen, she may have been heightened at once, but she's down to lizard level now.
Yes.
She definitely is. I mean, that royal line that we have in Britain, they probably do believe at one time they had superpowers, but like Johnny says there, they've definitely lost them because they've turned to the dark side. Now we're almost on the break, and Valeria is very much coming from the right side. She's coming from the light. We're talking Kundalini experiences. We're also talking about her connection and our connection with ETs. That's right, I said that. Our connection. Always said we were put here. Always maintained that. We're going to find out more after the break with the amazing Valeria. Like, don't go anywhere, folks.
This is the Kev Baker Show.
We are back and we're live. Only just because it's amazing energy flying about during the break, and that is all because of the brilliant guest that we've got with us tonight, Valeria Tignini. Now, you can find her work over at valsecrets.com and over on YouTube. She's got her own YouTube channel as well. I was going through a lot of those videos today. Brilliant stuff. We should always support other people on YouTube. Sub to their channels. You can find her, funnily enough, at Valeria Tignini on YouTube as well. Is there anywhere else, Valeria, where people can check out your work?
Yeah, I'm on Instagram and I'm on Facebook as well. And so that's at Val Secrets or /Val Secrets.
Awesome. And I've got you on Facebook now as well. I'll be watching for all of the latest videos coming out, and I encourage everyone out there to do so as well, because like I say, Valeria has got a very important message, because myself and Johnny, we're often talking about things like crop circles, and you can tell that me and Johnny are really passionate. We don't know what they are exactly, but we always keep going back there. And, you know, when you listen to stories like Valeria's, I was saying to John during the break, maybe that pull that we've got for crop circles is because we're just pre-remembering. And I say that because we haven't had that moment of clarity yet, that awakening, that Kundalini awakening, where we remember exactly why crop circles are important, because we recognize them. Because from our past, from our alien past that we're going to get into now with Valeria, they are very familiar to us indeed. So Valeria, again, thanks for joining us tonight. But this ET connection, let's pick up where we left off.
Sure. Well, so these Syrian ETs that were in my room, they basically told me, we've been waiting for this moment. And I understood what they were telling me. Now, they speak telepathically. They don't use their mouth, their voice. And so I understood what they wanted to do. They wanted to basically give me some information of which I've been dying to find in my lifetime. And so willingly, I stood up and I held their hands, and they took me up in light bodies into a star planet. And there were other beings there waiting for me, and their planet is all made of crystals. And so this crystal city, this had a crystal palace, and I met all these Syrian beings. And it's funny because a lot of them look like me, and I was a bit shocked. The men they're all very beautiful beings, all of them, including the women. And there's all kinds of beings, but they mostly live in light bodies in that dimension. However, when they come here and they interact with humans, they go into a humanoid body. And so this humanoid body makes you feel comfortable and in dealing with them. So they would go in and out, though, in and out of their light body and then into their humanoid body, because I just felt like I was with them. I was one of them. So there was no fear with them. And so their connection to us, which they have told me, is that we are all basically Syrian beings. We have many different races within us, but that is our core connection to a ET. And our spirituality comes from Sirius. And so every religion that we know of right now, that connection actually comes from Sirius. So Christed consciousness is basically from Sirius. They're the ones that hold that energy for us. And so this is why there are the crystal city, because Christed comes from crystallized crystal. And so all the Christed beings are very connected to Sirius. So
I'm liking this. I've never heard this kind of version before. I see people in the chat room are really resonating with this as well. And I find this interesting, Johnny, because we often talk about these other planets. Life doesn't necessarily have to take our kind of bipedal, anthropomorphic form. And we're talking light beings here, Johnny. This is making a lot of sense, man.
Well, Kev, you think about the amount of times that you actually hear Sirius being mentioned when it's people or people that have been given knowledge, and they say it came from people from Sirius. So, wow. I mean, crystal cities and things, I mean, that just blows me away.
It really is, and I'm sorry to interrupt you, Valeria, but I get excited. As you get to know me, I get excited when we talk about these kind of things. I think there's some kind of latent memory or something within me that I just haven't remembered yet, because very much when we talk about this stuff, just something in my gut starts going.
Yeah, it starts to spark up.
That's honestly what it feels like. I don't know if it's because I remember something, or maybe I've just watched too much sci-fi. I don't know, but I love it. So I'm not going to interrupt you anymore.
It's okay. It's okay. It's your way of being involved in the energy, and so you want to share as well. So it's okay. It comes from your heart. I can feel.
Well, that's okay then, as long as you know exactly where I'm coming from, because I hate to knock you off track. But, I mean, some of these, I want to get into some of these superpowers I was going through before, because we've got about 20 minutes left. And like I say, I would love to get you back on another time as well, so we can really get in deeper to some of these topics that you cover, because I think the audience will really benefit from that. But we've got telepathy, psychic, empathic, precognate, and the one really struck out to me, and it's because I'm interested in this, time travel. What's that all about, Valerie?
Time travel.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. You know, we think that we are constricted to our minds and what we see through our eyes, but our consciousness can travel through all kinds of times and spaces. Now, as we know, we just think that right now is all that there is. There's just this right now. However, time really doesn't exist. All of what we call as past lives, future lives, it's all right now, present in this moment. And so we can essentially tap into those timelines, not past or future, it's just a timeline, and tap into that scene and see it as for what it is. So I had the experience now that I'm able to see these timelines. It's with them called the Akashic Records. Essentially, it's like a film strip, and each square is a timeline, and in your soul journey. And so you can send your consciousness to that timeline, just as long as you have that awareness that you don't only live in this one dimension, in this one lifetime, in this one body, that you are a multidimensional being and that you exist in different timelines. Suddenly the doors open. So I'm basically giving a little bit of a training on how to time travel.
No, I love this because, I mean, all of these things are within us. And that's another thing that so many people like yourself try to relay to people, that we really are amazing individuals. And I keep trying to remind people periodically on Facebook, Valeria, that we really are. Each and every one of us, we're so amazing, so special, but it's so easy to lose sight of that because that material 3D world that most of us are caught up in. And I imagine a world where there's 7 billion people as vibrating at the same kind of level you are, because you just absolutely, it's unbelievable. It really is. I think we would get a change overnight in the world.
Yeah. So, the thing is that when we wake up to our higher self, to that higher vibration, not everyone has the same superpower. It's kind of like the superheroes in the sci-fi movies, where they each have their own power. It's just like that. Now, the main powers could be like telepathy, or some might, that's basically talking without using your mouth, because actually using words uses up a lot of breath and energy, and every breath that we take is one breath less through our lifetime. This is why ETs live such a long time. They have a long lifespan, because our breath is basically the number of breaths that we have are basically how long we will live. And so this is why meditation also extends our life and our youth and our beauty, which I'm really big on these days. And so we need to learn how to speak less, communicate more through frequency, through telepathy, through body language. So these are just like the main superpowers that we'll start to see coming into humans at this time.
And body language is something that I think myself and Johnny, we might have had an off-air chat about this, but Facebook, when you leave a comment on Facebook, it's quite hard really to know what way it was intended. And that's because so much of our communication is actually body language. And I often say we're the most interconnected we've ever been, Valeria. But at the same time, we're the most disconnected as well, because we have fewer and fewer physical kind of conversations. Most of them take place on social media, via our smartphones, and so much of that communication is lost.
Yes, I agree. But that will start to change also, because people will start to find their circles, and they will spend more time with these quality people. Communities will start to build, and we will just live in the communities that we, with people that we resonate with. And so the need for outside communication, outside of that circle, will be less and less. And so it's actually a dying industry. People think, oh, no way, this is never going to die out, but it actually is going to. That is the future, because more people are going inwards, and they just want to vibrate at a certain frequency with their There you are. Hello?
Hi there, Valeria. I don't even know. I'm not sure what happened to Kev. There he's there.
With us. I was muted up. You got cut off. We're back now. Everything's good. Carry on, Valeria.
Sorry.
Okay. So essentially, we're going to be relying on our soul family more and more. And, if you realize, communication is changing also. Like, we're using more and more emoticons rather than language, rather than words. And this is the future of how we will communicate. This is how actually a lot of ETs communicate, is sending that emoticon through mind to mind. And so you will say, I'm in trouble. You can do a whole sentence of emoticons, and you know exactly what it means. Like something's not right. But see, the details are what the mind wants to hear. But the essence is really what's important to communication. The details is what the mind wants to grasp. The ego wants to grasp, so that it feels like it receives some sort of information. But the details don't matter anymore, because really what matters is vibration.
That's what we were saying when you just got cut off, wasn't it, Johnny? Or I was trying to say to you, but I was muted up at the time, that we often talk vibration on here, frequency as well. Nikola Tesla, he's the connection to that. But isn't it interesting, John, that it all comes together? Doesn't matter what we talk about, Anthony Patch on CERN or all the AI, all boils down to frequency and vibration.
Now we're vibrational beings.
Oh, sorry, carry on, Valeria.
I said we're vibrational beings, and we're living on a vibrational planet, and the universe is vibrating through us. We're all basically walking toroids of energy. We are walking energy, and so everything that we are connected to and know and we're basically energy. And so when a lot of people can't understand that, but once their expansion of consciousness allows them to feel it, then they know it to be true.
Wow, I love this. You know, you think about this, we all are antennas. And you were talking before about how we all have this field, Valeria, and we've all experienced it before. You're sitting in a room, maybe at a party, everything is going absolutely great, and then that person walks into the room and everyone feels it. You all sense it. Now, for me, Valeria, that's these fields that we're all kind of operating in, isn't it? And that's a good indication that this is true. What we're talking about, we do have that antenna. It's just we have to learn how to listen to it and even transmit with it more. And you were saying your voice, the frequencies that come off that, it's like you are transmitting, an antenna transmitting right now.
Yes. You see, it's very funny because social media has all these tag words, like, hashtag words, and like all of the media and like advertisement, they're all using these kind of words like vibes, which is kind of funny. Do they even know what that means? Vibes is a shortened word for vibration. So, people are talking about good vibes, and there's other words, there's other hashtags that I noticed, and I think it's so funny because everyone feels it. They all know what good vibes are. They all don't realize that we are heading into that, in that way of living is understanding things through vibes. That we are all very intuitive beings, that we can connect to people through vibes, and that, you just have that feeling. It's the most successful people on this planet have a very strong intuition. It's not so mental, and they actually use astrology, psychics, and them themselves are very psychic, actually. And so they all have these superpowers already. And so this is what makes someone so successful, is that they actually trust themselves and trust that instinct of connecting to somebody's vibration and saying yes or no.
No, this is absolutely brilliant. And, even the word vibes, they probably do know exactly what they're doing. They hijack these words, and words themselves are spells. We've gone over this before on the show as well, yeah. John. But it's just so encouraging to hear people speaking like this. And we've seen these people, the young ones called the Indigo Children, Valeria.
Yes.
Are they another wave? Yeah, are they another wave of people coming in right now to change the planet?
Oh, yes, absolutely. I've noticed, like, even in the television shows, they're all very, they talk about things like, oh, let's go for a smoothie. which had never existed in my teenage years. We didn't talk about going out for smoothies. We would say go out for ice cream, but not for, or Slurpee, but not for a smoothie. They're just becoming more sensitive to food, more sensitive to people. They're connected more. They're open. They're willing to listen to anything that could be maybe multidimensional. Of course, there's a lot of children that are influenced by their parents, and it all depends who they're being raised by. But I also feel like, you see, my generation, I'm almost 40. So my generation, we have children, small children, and we're raising crystal kids or rainbow children. And the generation before that, they were raising indigo children, which is my generation. So me as an indigo child, I was lucky that my mother was very open to listening to what I had to say about the UFOs and the blowing in the ear, and my sister also had these kind of experiences as well. So I had a very supportive mother in that sense, because she herself is connected also. But if I was in the wrong household, I could have been chastised, made fun of, and being told to never think or talk about those kind of things ever again, especially in a religious home. So the thing is that everyone is exactly where they need to be with the people that they need to be with, and then everything is a catalyst to bring them into higher consciousness and experience what they need to experience. So yeah, so we're ever evolving as the human race is being challenged right now in many different ways.
Well, Valeria, with your mum being very supportive in all this, do you think your mum had maybe experienced some of these things as well?
I asked her. She never experienced any of that, but my sister did. She just was open to magic and even like witchcraft, and my mother, I don't know, she's also very connected now to energy. She's a healer herself, but she has not mastered that within herself, as she is also going through a spiritual process. So
yeah, well, I'm a twin, and I have a twin sister, and some of the crazy things that it really just shouldn't happen. Do you know what I mean? That there is no way that we can know what the other one's up to, but somehow when I was going to work one morning and I had been for stitches in my ear, and my sister called me when I was at the bus stop waiting on the bus, and she says, "Is your ear okay?" My left ear. And I says, "Yeah." And then this woman turned round and says, "I think you better go back to the hospital." I was covered in blood. All the stitches had opened. And that was just when my twin sister called on me. So it's really weird, the bond that we have, but it's really, really close, and it seems to be that we can feel things from each other.
Yeah, that's very common with twins. Not always, but more common with twins. It's because basically you guys, because you came in at the same day and you share a lot, you've been in the womb at the same time, you learned to communicate with each other telepathically, and you were very empathic with each other. So you learned that in the womb. And some twins, they had it as well, but then they lost it through conditioning and programming of our society. So that's the humanity, is to communicate that way and to be empathic that way. I actually can feel also people's pain as well. So that's what I do with private sessions, is that as soon as the person comes on, I can sense exactly what's going on with them, physically, mentally, and emotionally, and energetically. So they really don't have to say much. Like, basically fill in the blanks for them, and that's again the future of humanity, that There's no, once we go to the doctor doesn't have to say, okay, tell me what's wrong. No, the doctor just has to tune into your field, and he knows exactly what's wrong. And then he doesn't stick you with needles or give you some sort of prescription. He energetically helps you heal or guides you towards a healing. So that's the true future of humanity. It's just we're not there yet. Slowly but surely.
Absolutely. And people like you are definitely going to help us along the way. And I'm really glad. And now I know why the universe brought you along today, because this really was an important show. I'm looking at the chat room. They're only a small snapshot of the thousands of listeners, right? But if they're anything to go by, then I was right, because your message definitely needs to get out right now, Valeria. So where can people find more of your work? And I would love you to come back on next month or sometime soon so we can get more into some of these topics.
Sure. Well, I'm on valsecrets.com, and I plan on doing some of the sessions, group sessions or workshops in Tokyo. I'll be in Tokyo in November, and I'll be posting that on my website. And I'll be also doing a workshop a retreat in France. So that will be great if some of your listeners could join in on that.
Over in France, Whistles, are we going?
Well, it's not that far away, Kev.
Exactly. But folks, we're almost out of time. I've really enjoyed this tonight. I really have. Really great person we've had on, Valeria Tignini. Check her out on YouTube, over at our website, Val Secrets as well. valsecrets.com, sorry. Now then, tomorrow, Anthony Patch, he's going to be back with myself and Johnny. And then on Thursday night, like I was saying, we're going to have 2 hours with our good friend, the Mr. Indiana Jones himself, the Irish person. James Swagger will be live on KBS. So until tomorrow night, folks, wherever you are, make it TFR.
And dinna touch that dial.